Hello, everybody. This is Gynarchic Awakening. I'm now going to deviate from the previous topics and get back to some of the cool stuff. This is actually going to be uh, it's going to be a sort of a video that covers what are called Gynarchic pamphlets. Uh, Sort of how to go about doing them, how to think about them, just a general discussion video about these pamphlets. But first, I'd like to thank How to Simp, an individual who follows my channel. I was in the one of the Reddit groups talking with the other Gynarchists, and it's been pretty bummy lately. And then somebody shared, I guess, like I think it was a picture he created. I don't know how he did it. I'm a little out of it psychologically lately. I'm distracted. I've got things to do, and this picture has me along with like Nikola Tesla. I am not as intelligent as these other men. I want to state that very clearly. These are on some next level intellect stuff. I'm not on their level. I'm probably I no, not probably. I'll never be on their level. But I appreciate the thoughts and the feelings behind it. I just want to say thank you, dude. Uh, the and you know, I realized a while back you talked about pamphlets. I said, fuck it, let's do a video about pamphlets. Here is my philosophy regarding pamphlets. I think that a pamphlet shouldn't be too long, but it also shouldn't be too short. In other words, when you're thinking about how to create a Gynarchic pamphlet, in other words, something to hand to women, to men, maybe at colleges, that's a place where you could start. I think that is something that I think that's the first critical element. Because if your stuff is too long, people are going to be overwhelmed by it. Like if you hand them like a textbook, like pamphlet with like it's like that thick or something, they're going to become overwhelmed and they're going to look at you funny. Like you do realize that I am a student or that I am X person. I have family to take care of. I have a job. I have my own hobbies. I have a social life. Like people will not be receptive to something that is too long. But on the other hand, if you make something too short, like say it's a page or it's 2 pages, that's really not enough to go off of. You need more information than that in order to give people an idea. I think a good size length for a pamphlet. Feel free to disagree, but I think it would be about 5 to 10 pages. Would be a good idea, and I think that one of the things that we can do as a pamphlet as a community is if we're going to create pamphlets to spread Gynarchic ideology, in other words, to share it with people, to talk about things, I think we really need to think about messaging. Sorry, I'm trying to gain my focus back. It's been a little difficult. So that's the first part. The second part is what I think the information you place at the beginning of the pamphlet is extremely critical because it's kind of like if you've ever heard like the opening line to a play or a story, how you open up, how your opening delivery is will determine whether they want to read anything else, whether they want to consume the material. And if they don't like your opening, or if they don't like the way it is, they don't like something about what you said, or if anything comes across is too judgmental, or too shallow, or too vague, I think that they'll discard it. They'll see it as, okay, this is silly. What is this? But however you make these pamphlets, it is extremely critical to think about their presentation, and especially the material. Like, what exactly do you want to convey to these people in the first page? Now, here's what I would do, and this is to How to Simp and to the other Gynarchists who are in the Facebook group with him. This is the people who are on the other websites and the other places. My advice to you is you should start from you should pitch it in a way to where it's welcoming and receptive, right? Like for instance, if you said, if here's an idea for how you could open it up. Have you ever felt that did you ever feel like you wanted women running things, communities, governments, whatever? Did you ever feel like there was something wrong with the world? Did you ever feel afraid to speak your mind? Did you ever feel like you couldn't talk to anybody about it, or you had to be afraid about who you opened up to? Well, you don't have to be afraid anymore because there's this group or that group. And then you leave either links to them or you direct them to them and say, we're willing to listen to what you have to say and we're willing to talk with you about it. In other words, I would make it a kind of open invitation, sort of a reassurance to let them know, no, you're not alone. You know, there are other people who feel the way that you do, that actually there's more of the you than you think. And what they need is, I think, something a little bit more human, something that cuts to the core of our humanity, that gets right to the heart of the matter. Because if you open up saying that men are this or women are that, or blah, 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 if you talk like that, that doesn't work. And if you need me to give you an example, look at what happened to feminism in the 2010s versus the 2020s. They had good ideas, but they didn't, in my opinion, market them the best because there was this very hostile element to it. There was this aggression, and that doesn't work. And I've actually seen some of that in my own community. Like, I try to reach out to people. I put my heart and soul into these videos. I try to be as passionate as I can be. But there are people who try to engage in reductionist games with me. I had somebody earlier just say, am I just, he thought I was just a kinkster trying to promote my book. He's referring to my first novel, by the way. And I certainly don't think I'm just those things. And so I think that you have to go for something that is more relatable, something that is, you have to, I guess how I'm trying to say this is, you have to hone in on a very common shared human element, something that we all need. Like, we all need a place to belong. We all need a place or a group to go where we can be ourselves and we can have conversations. Because can you imagine if you go into like a bar with a bunch of men and you just start talking about how you should think women should run everything? You might not get out of there intact, depending on who you open up to. Somebody could stab you, shoot you, they'll scream at you. There's the great potential for violence against you by both sexes. So having a place or a group you can talk to share your thoughts and feelings, a safer place, a place where you can feel welcome, where you're among your sisters and your brothers, and you don't have to feel afraid anymore. I think that's the best thing you could do for a pamphlet. I think that it's more of a case of who you know, not rather than just what you know. And I think that would be the best opening pamphlet you could. And then you could also link some other resources as well. First, you open up with you are not alone with others, and then you kind of show that you show other information. For example, you show, for instance, there is Viola Voltaire, there is this person, there is that person, there is these historical figures throughout history who thought that women should be running things. In other words, try to make it positive. Try to focus on the positivity of it. Try to focus on trying to market to them and say, you're right to think and feel the way you do. Don't do what the feminists did, where it's like condemn, condemn, condemn. We know it doesn't work as a marketing strategy. It just alienates people. And I think part of the problem with the feminist community was they were part of the academic world. But I think that there is a division that's taking place between the academic world and the real world. In other words, I think that these two people, I think the working people, speak a different language than the people who go to academia and who get these degrees and who learn all this lexicon and these different kinds of ways of looking at the world. I think they just don't see it the same way. I think that they have, and I also think they have different responsibilities and obligations too. So if you're a man working or a woman working 9 to 5, or you've got to do this day and night, why would you want to hear somebody say you're a shitty human being or a terrible human being? I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think that harping on all of it is good if your intention is to grow your brand. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I just tell the truth when I have to. Sometimes I'm negative, I acknowledge that, but I feel like I have to tell the truth. I'm just saying, if you're going to do a pamphlet, if you're going to reach out to people, please don't repeat the mistakes of, I think it's either third or fourth wave feminism, whenever you are growing your brand, because that, in my opinion, never works. So talking about it in that way is good. Focusing in that way, and focusing on where they can go, giving them a direction, not just feeding them information necessarily, but opening a door up for them and a door for the community. I think that's the best kind of pamphlet that you could make. And I think I would end it, if I did, it would be 5 to 10 pages. It would just be a list of everybody you know who has made serious intellectual work. I would also recommend that you provide information about Masuo and the other matriarchal societies around the world, and also inform people that there's either been intentional or unintentional, depending however you want to phrase this, suppression of these cultures and societies in academic environments. Our children do not know about matriarchal societies until they get older. They are forced to learn about their own society, which gives them the impression that, oh, this is all that there ever was. All there ever was these societies or those societies. They don't offer the alternative. And so that's one way you could bring them in and say, they're here, these societies, they've existed, mention the positives about these societies, the things that they've been able to accomplish for women and girls and so on and so forth. So that's how I would do it. I would just focus on that. I'd focus on opening a door up, enlightening people, and trying to make them feel like they're not isolated. That they try to find a way to form the bonds that create the cohesion that we know community can bring us. But we have to do that ourselves. So I think that's one way you could do it. Obviously, there's other kinds of pamphlets you want to make. I think it just depends on what your goal is. Like, what kind of message do you want to send to people, and what do you hope to accomplish by making this? And where do you want to, I guess the next logical thing is, once you're done with all this, where do you want to hand these pamphlets out to, if it's not college students, if it's anybody else? I think these are some of the details. I think one thing that also needs to be considered, and it's a bit of an underrated element, but when you are handing out a pamphlet, it needs to look really beautiful. What I mean by that is, like, take this from somebody who I made a verse novel, but I had a shitty cover. And even I acknowledge that my cover is garbage, and it has no color. It literally is in black and white. It's based on some artwork that I did, but it's in my opinion a terrible cover, and it could be one of the reasons why that book is where it's at. Is it just doesn't, I think that you have to communicate not just with words, but you have to find some kind of imagery that communicates to them, that makes them want to take the pamphlet. So it's got to be something artistic, something that really resonates with people, that human beings can connect to, whatever that happens to be. So I think that it's an underrated thing, but unfortunately, despite what people say, a cover, a book is judged by its cover, right? If I go out into public and I don't shower and I wear shitty clothing, I'm going to be judged based on how I look. Some people may be nice and not say anything, but they're thinking this guy is a fucking pig, or blah, 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 blah. So people will sometimes just judge something based on that and not give it a chance. And that's something I think you would try to avoid when you're making these things. You want people to take the opportunity, but I think it's just as much about it's just as much about about linguistic presentation as it is about artistic presentation. You have to sell them on both counts, and I think when you have that, you can take it somewhere. But that also requires getting involved with your in-person community. Because as I said before, I've told people this and I'll tell them again. I tried to get them together on the internet and it just didn't work. So maybe it's time to take it offline, whether it's just randomly going up to people or listening to their conversations, or trying to find out who the gynocentric people are and then talking to them. Having actual human interactions and conversations and bringing them in, and then just discussing things. And, if they stay, they stay. If they leave, they leave. But that's what I think. I think a Gynarchic pamphlet is a great idea. I think that it could really be a game changer for the community, but I think it also involves getting your hands wet, so to speak, or was it your feet wet? So like actually getting off the computer, going to your local college, go to festivals, whatever, and in a very calculated and hopefully safe manner, you find out which people you believe that you can open up to with this stuff, and you hand them the pamphlets. But my personal opinion is, when you are handing these things out, do not walk around with them while you are out, because if you run into the wrong person, it could get you into trouble. I would keep them inside of my jacket or whatever, wherever you have it. Is make sure that it's inside of you, and then when you are sure of the person you're interacting with, if you think that they're going to be receptive to it, that's when you can hand it to them or offer them the pamphlet. Anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you, How to Simp. I really appreciate it. Uh, you are you're a cool dude, man. I don't know how to spit. I know it's corny, but yeah, it's nice to finally have some people around for a change that want to make a change, that actually want to connect with their community. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Anyways, I hope everything is well. I hope that you are well. I hope that your family is well. And I wish everyone the best. Please stay safe out there. I hope you have a great day.